team was in the Premier League, the other was not. In this case, both are in, both are right at the top of the standings, and we're underway here at the beautiful Centennial Stadium at the University of Victoria. Starting at scrum half for the UVic Vikes in yellow, Jamie Pip-Blado. He'll move the ball into the middle of the field with the first phase of play and a not releasing call immediately going the way of UBC, and they'll get an opportunity to kick the ball into touch and start their first offensive foray. As they do that, let's go over the starting lineups for the visiting UBC Thunderbirds. We have at loosehead prop Paul On, at hooker Alex Mascot, at tight head prop it's Chris Taylor. Now, we'll get to the rest in just a moment as we're back underway. Giuseppe Detroit in at fly half for the Vikes. He'll be an important factor in today's game. The ball handed to Wakefield. No territory gained on that crash ball. And it's tough slogging early on for the Vikes. Wakefield will try his luck once again. He's tackled quickly. The Vikes just outside their own 22, prodding away as if they were in the opposition 22. Finally, the ball is swung out to the right. No break on there. So I believe that was Connor Whale bringing his man down. Check that. That was Chris Taylor bringing his man down, number 3. And Pip-Blado will try something. Nothing working, and finally the ball just hoisted high into the air. Chasing onto it was the fullback Theo Sauter. Nice job of holding on to that one. And now UBC. That kick is blocked from Harjan Gill. The University of Victoria Vikes on the counterattack. And hands down the line, fails to work as that ball spills to the deck. They are just inside the opposition 10-meter line. Plenty of work left to do. That ball nearly intercepted, but it is knocked on. Play still underway, and now the whistle goes. Our referee, Nathan Abdel-Noor, spotting that one. I believe he was also the referee the last time these two teams met. But he is definitely a stickler for the finer points of the rules of the game, such as the job description when you're working in referee development for Rugby Canada. So he will set the first scrum of the game, and the last time I saw him officiate a game, he was definitely concerned about the binding. We saw a number of stops, the players just not immediately following those instructions. I'm not sure how many of you have read the great article from referee Nigel Owens about the role of referees in the scrum and the role of the forwards mostly not paying attention to those instructions, causing a number of delays in games across the world at the top level of rugby. And that last scrum worked pretty nicely, and UBC is able to work off of it and set up an attack with the ball out to Harjan Gill. Spencer Miller playing in its scrum half with their top choice, Jordan Sandover Best, away for the Maple Leafs, but there is a potential try on here with the ball spilled just at the last moment. Looked like James Thompson, the center, that was on the break with that one, and just before he was able to cross the line, the ball was hacked away from him. And an unfortunate knock-on as this game still looks for its first points. You'll notice in behind the Victoria pack that the in-goal area here, a bit of a shortcoming at Centennial Stadium. It is probably the bare minimum allowable by rugby laws, maybe slightly illegal in terms of its depth. It's very, very narrow, It's like watching some of the stadiums in rugby league in the UK where there's just not enough space to work back there. So I don't see too many chip and chases that will result in points this game. But you never know. That was something that UBC did quite extensively in some of their previous games, and the last time these two teams met, they were using that grubber kick to chase after the ball. So that might limit their offensive tactics here. And we have a scrum right at the 5-meter line, just outside of the UVic in-goal area. And Miller will have the put in for UBC. A great opportunity to get a try on the board, as all of those UVic defenders are packed right in there in that one tight corner of the field. The ball spread to the right where Harjan Gill is brought down. Now fighting for those extra yards as Chris Taylor is tackled. Is there a turnover here? No, UBC retains it, and they're able to spin it out. Gill again, quickly to James Thompson. He's wrapped up. Connor Whale now tries his luck. Good defending here from the Vikes so far. And another tackle as Chris Taylor has seen the ball a lot, and the offense is going to be punished for some sloppy play. Check that, the calls not releasing. So the penalty is going to UVic, and they will have an opportunity to get out of trouble here. And that ball safely finds touch up around the halfway line. So we started the opening lineups. We'll continue them now. Starting at second row, Sam Clark, number 4 for UBC. Number 5 is Connor Hamilton. Your number 6, 7, 8 combination is Sam Jeffries, Charles Thorpe, and Connor Weil in that order. At scrum half, it's Spencer Miller. At fly half, Harjan Gill. On the wing, Quinton Wilms. At center, James Thompson. At center, Nate Reese. On the wing, Brock Stoller. And at fullback, number 15, Theo Souter. For the UVic Vikes, as we await an injury break here, Chris Taylor walking slowly to the bench. And we'll see who comes on for him. That looks like 17, who I have listed as Eric Hunter James, but I didn't quite recognize the player. So we'll check in on that. UVic with the ball right now and quickly moving it across the line. They are on halfway. Casey Cavers stood up, dropped down behind the gain line. And a good drive there from UVic. Number 7, Jeff Nishima Miller. Offering up a couple of yards. Not a whole lot of creativity here. Single passes before the tackle. And will we finally see any kind of break in the early moments? Not rolling away, and a penalty to UVic. It's kickable. It's a long kick. We have Giuseppe DeToit doing the kicking for UVic. He's got a pretty strong boot on him, and from the angle it's just under 50 meters, and he'll try his luck at the posts. Important in the boot series to chip away at that deficit, as UVic does trail in the aggregate score by 11 points. So you want to get points on the board early, you want to get points often, and just have that scoreboard ticking over, rolling over. But this is going to be a tricky one. There's a little bit of wind that's drifting from right to left across the field. It'll move the ball a bit. It looks like based on that flag it's swirling a bit now too. So a challenging kick. takes his run up. The kick looks like it's drifting wide. No, he got it. Well done. I thought he might have drifted that one just a little bit wide, but he does pull that inside the post. So 3 points to UVic as they open their account. And they'll be happy with that. They were not really putting too much together in terms of offensive phases, just one movement, then a tackle, and then a reset. And that happened 4 or 5 times until UBC took a bit of a needless penalty. And UVic, the beneficiaries of that Thunderbirds penalty, taking the 3 points on offer. So we have a crowd filling in here. They were across the street at Wallace Field as the Kaylee's Cup teams played before this. A pretty rough field condition over there at Wallace, certainly a lot better here at Centennial Stadium. The conditions are pristine. And that was a pretty ideal looking lineout for UBC as Brock Stoller, the recipient of the ball. Check that, that was 12 James Thompson, the recipient of the ball. And now Miller will distribute to his left. Harjan Gill tried kicking before, now he'll run it. That was a smart play, but the pass just failed to connect. And a turnover is the result. A little bit of nervous passing there by the Thunderbirds. The Vikes on their own 22. Fergus Hall looking for Captain Remy Anktil. He has to scoop that one off the deck. We have another penalty coming, this time to the benefit of the Thunderbirds, and they will have an opportunity to tie up the score here with a kick coming from just inside the 22 should they elect to use the boot. And it looks like that is the election here. Number 14, Brock Stoller, doing the kicking for the Thunderbirds. He leads the league in points. He's a threat with the boot. He's also a threat to score on the wing. And he's been charged with trying to even this one at 3 points each in the early going. Stoller with 63 points, 6 tries and 14 conversions so far, plus penalty kicks this year. He's been quite the prolific scorer. Stoller's kick is up. This one drifts wide to the right. So UBC coming up short in their first attempt for points on the board. And UVic will have an opportunity with the dropout. Kick down the field and taken right in the middle of the park. Nothing on there as they're stuck at the halfway line. Advantage being played by the look of it, and a ball slips through the hands, and we'll bring this one back. BC Rugby would like to thank all of its partners who help bring us streaming rugby every Saturday, and on this special occasion on a Friday, we have with that failed scrum, a quick tap and go is selected by the Vikes. Now they're just outside the 22. Quickly up on the line, looked like it could have been offside, but UBC very quick to get in there and make those tackles. Still plenty of work for the Vikes to do as that ball spills through the hands, and that will be a knock-on. As I mentioned off the top, the challenge with the scrums and getting those bindings right and instructing the players what he'd like to see, what he would like to see them do. Referee Nathan Abdel-Noor doing a good job so far. These scrums have been pretty clean. The ball's been usable very quickly, and we'll see what we get here. Spencer Miller with the put in for the Thunderbirds. No territory gained, but a nice clean scrum allows the Thunderbirds to swing the ball to the left wing. And there's a bit of a break on there. The grubber kick off the head of Fergus Hall. Theo Souter chasing after it. And Stewart is thrown into touch. And this will be a line out in a very advantageous position for the Thunderbirds as they continue to search for their first points of the game. Line out well taken. Harjingill goes back inside. Now they set up inside the 22. Vikes aggressive in their defense, pushing the Thunderbirds back behind the gain line. Nice little layoff on the inside over to James Thompson. And he's in the corner. And I'll apologize to you because I had the wide camera angle on. You probably didn't see that as well as the crowd here did, but I can certainly assure you that it was number 12, Thompson, the center, who made the move to the outside and got around the defense and puts the UBC Thunderbirds on the board with their opening try of the game. 5 points to their account with a conversion to come. Nice piece of deception by Spencer Miller on that try as he just popped it up for James Thompson. And he ran onto it, and the defense was a half step slow, and he exploited that gap quite nicely. So Stoller was wide right on his first attempt at goal on the previous penalty. He'll have an opportunity to atone himself. Kicking all the way from the corner. Pretty tough angle. The wind's died down a little bit in the last few minutes. That kick is up, and this one looks better, but the referees say no. 0 for 2 for Stoller. That is a surprise. But UBC now has the lead as they enjoy a narrow 5-3 margin. And they will be receiving the ball off the restart. Good lift gets Connor Hamilton into the air. Contested breakdown, and UVic have the turnover. Doug Fraser just running forward, nothing fancy. Simple, effective rugby, advantage being played, and a drop goal attempt was ambitious and straight, but not quite the elevation on it that was required, nor the distance. But given the advantage, it was potentially worth the attempt. I have not seen a drop goal work for any team in the CDI yet this season. And thinking back on the statistics, I'm not sure that not only have there been none in the games that we've broadcast, I don't think there have been any in any CDI games this year. It's a very difficult skill. The fields are not always excellent in the wintertime. And the drop goal, a very exciting play, but one that's rarely seen. And this, the more common way of getting the 3 points via the penalty, as Detroit lines this one up from right away, straight down the middle, and his kick splits the uprights quite nicely. So UVic, with that penalty, get back into the lead. The score now, UVic 6 and UBC 5. We'll keep our eye on that aggregate score, with the winner of that aggregate total claiming the Whiteman boot at the end of this game. Long kick dropped. No knock on, says our referee. And they play aerial ping pong, each team searching for territory. That catch a little bit better, but the kicks continue. Now Hammond with the ball. He'll go to his left to Crosby Stewart, and finally the kicking contest ends, and we'll play some heads-up rugby in the middle of the park. Nice leg drive there, gaining a few more yards for UVic. Now they'll try to get it to the backs. Good entry there by the Thunderbirds forward. I think that was Taylor, but he was able to cause the turnover with that strong entry on the breakdown. Quick tap and go. No support. And now the clear out happens, and leaving his feet pretty dangerously. And UBC keen to restart very quickly. Looks like there's some numbers out there to the right if UBC can use it. Slashing tackle at the boots. Just trips up Connor Whale. He had support to his right. It was a 2-on-1 situation, but good job from the Vikes to come back. Some cover defense. I missed the tackler's number, but no matter. It was a good play to keep the Thunderbirds in check and prevent them from getting another try on the board. UBC with the line out. About 30 meters out from their goal area. Knock on occurring there, an advantage being played for the Vikes. Fergus Hall running very shiftily. He's able to offload the ball, and now to the right, Stewart brought down just a meter short of the line. A quick tap right at the try line. Can they get through? Barging forward is McBrien Boss. He's stopped. Now they'll try the quick pick and go. Everybody piled right over top of the ball at the line, and a try is signaled. UVic using that advantage quite well. And they were able to get the ball right into the corner and set up that try. And I haven't seen a number on the back of the player. I we'll tell you in just a moment. But I'm thinking it was Nathan Stewart, the number 8. Yes, indeed. Nathan Stewart with the try, which puts UVic ahead 11-5. And Detroit lines up the kick. That one right over top of the post. No, say the assistant referees. It was straight at that bending, curving upright. Not the straightest post I've ever seen. And that may have actually had an impact on that play as the ball drifted right over top of it and faded just to the right. So our scoreline remains at the 11-5 mark in favor of the hometown Vikes, and they are chipping away at that aggregate score. Very low kick by Fraser. Now the Thunderbirds on the counterattack. Miller sidestepping a tackle. He'll try the little chip through, no one chasing on, but the ball is spilled, and now it could get interesting. Right at the line, it's picked up, but we're going to have this one brought back. No score there as the knock-on was called. But suddenly the UBC Thunderbirds in a position to score once again, and our referee Nathan Abelner will go back and consult with his line judge. There were a couple of knock-ons that occurred on that play following that chip-through kick. Spencer Miller, thinking something was on, spotted a gap where there was no one back there. And a referee is actually going to bring this one back outside the 22 for the original infraction spotted by the assistant referee. They're going to say there was a penalty that occurred. This is about 30 meters away from goal, and UBC will kick into the corner. They want all the points on offer. Good kick brings them inside the 22. And they will set up their attacking platform once again. Looking for a response to that UVic try, courtesy of Nathan Stewart. UBC retains the lineout. That maul is held up. No forward progress yet. And the maul goes down. They will have to set up something with the backs. Quick tap pass through, gets its way to Souter, but he is unable to grip the ball. And a knock-on occurs, but we also have an offside coming. So UVic will get the ball back, and they will have an opportunity to kick it on to halfway. And that finds touch at the 10-meter line. And courtesy that penalty, we will have a line out for UVic. So a late arriving crowd here at Centennial Stadium. The stands now filling up a little bit. Looked pretty sparse in the moments before the game. But they've seen a pretty good start to this rugby game so far. Lots of back and forth action. No one team able to gain the upper hand as of yet. Very quickly in was Paul On out of Abbotsford. I'm interested to see that matchup between On and McBrien Boss in this one. Both props definitely very sizable, but very athletic as well. And we'll get an opportunity to see that matchup right here as they engage on the near side of the field. And they'll reset this scrum. And when I say a moment ago the crowd was filling in, please don't judge it by the dozen or so people sitting on the far side. We have a couple hundred people sitting on the near side of the field in the pavilion here, which is nicely in the shade on this perfect day here on Vancouver Island. Watching the 44th edition of the Whiteman Boot Game. What a wonderful tradition that is in BC Rugby, where the universities play against each other every year. Ball dropped by the try scorer Nathan Stewart as it was hacked out of his hands. We'll get another opportunity to practice the scrums right at the halfway line. UVic dominant in the boot game series in recent years, just win after win, but it was finally the UBC Thunderbirds who hoisted the trophy last year, so they are the current title holders. They are looking to retain it. They do have that aggregate lead. It's narrow, it's 5 points. But they are looking to add to that aggregate total now, as there looks like there's something on. Slipping through the defense, making that one look very easy. Connor Whale, I believe, is your man, dodging traffic. Pretty sad tackling there from UVic. Their coaching staff will be pretty disappointed, but it quickly came from a nothing play into an attacking play, and a nice mobility showed by Connor Weil as he sidestepped a man and found himself in goal for the try. This kick is good for Brock Stoller. That was certainly his easiest attempt on goal so far today. So that bumps UBC up to 12 on this game and 42 on the aggregate. And we have one heck of a game here with the score now at 12-11. Now the scoreboard at center field says 13-12 for UVic, so I'll check that one out. But I think they may have counted a conversion that actually drifted wide. We'll go back and double check the scoring when we have a break. It's a tight one. They're right neck and neck, and play has gone back and forth throughout this first half. That scrum collapses. A lot of screaming from the UBC players on the field, and they get the penalty off that one. Josh Schreiber, who got into today's lineup as a replacement, kicks that one into touch, well inside the Vikes half, and UBC will have the lineout, which they've managed to retain on all their lineouts so far. No turnovers caused on the re-entries here. as I said it, we have our first turnover in the lineout. UVic now on the counterattack. That was Jeff Nishima Miller picking up that errant pass or deflection off the lineout. And UVic coming out of their own half, just inside of the halfway line. And they'll choose to use the boot. That ball finds its way into touch, and it looked like it's on the full. Yes, it was. So they'll have to bring that one all the way back. That kick landing in touch before, well, it comes to a rest in touch. So on the full, and we'll reset. UVic jumping early. UBC says, thank you, we'll take that. Now Harjan Gill with a long pass to the left and splitting through the seam. Kicked on, chasing after it is Nate Reese, and he has it right in the corner. He stumbles forward, and a try for Nate Reese. And again, not much to start the play, but a really quick movement by the UBC Thunderbirds, as we saw Harjan Gill with that strong pass to his left, and gap was found. The grubber kick was successful, and Nate Reese able to get in the corner to extend the UBC lead. Good quick piece of attacking rugby by the Thunderbirds. Brockstaller will line up his conversion. We've played 37 minutes of the first half. Just a couple minutes left to go. Stoller's kick is up, and that falls short and to the right. Stoller struggling a bit more than usual today. It's only 1 for 4 with the boot, and that one coming from right in front of the post. So he's been a threat all season. He was bound to have an off game with the boot, and it is this one in the boot game. I didn't mean to lead in like that, but here we are with a very dangerous tackle on the man in the air. Probably a card coming as a result of this. That's Sam Jeffries, who is down, going very high in the air for that ball on the restart. And with that tackle, hit the deck pretty aggressively. And they'll check him out to make sure he's okay. And Sam Jeffries does get up. He looks to be okay. I didn't see a card issued, but our referee and our assistant referee in discussion right now over that play. The assistant referee was in a great position to make the observation there as that tackle happened right in front of him. Referee Nathan Abelnur calling the captains over. That was a dangerous play for sure, as Sam Jeffries was high in the air when that tackle occurred. as number 7, Jeff Nishima Miller, who was getting the extra talking to. I didn't see a card. I'm not mic'd in with the referees. There may have been one issued. I wouldn't be surprised if there was, just based on the nature of that tackle. It was pretty aggressive and on a helpless man in the air. So you don't want to see that kind of thing in rugby, but we're just happy to see that Sam Jeffries is okay and play resumes at this point. I didn't see sending off of Nishima Miller, so the card appearing not to be in the offing here. And perhaps on the account, the player was coming down with the ball, but the timing of that tackle was certainly suspect. Referee Nathan Abdelnour unhappy with the UBC scrum, and a penalty awarded to UVic, as we're right at the 40-minute mark of the first half. No whistle yet concluding proceedings, so potentially time for one more attacking play from the Vikes, who will have the throw on this line out. Line out taken by UBC. And Miller, realizing that we're coming up to halftime, decides to lift that one into touch, but no signal given for the break just yet. Second time in a row that UVic has failed to capture their own lineout, and on the counter attack, good ball movement by UBC. Gill over to the inside, now to Sauter. He's inside the 22, and now he's held up. Lots of UBC Thunderbird players in support. Miller will go wide to Harjan Gill. Quick tackle there by Remy Anktil, and now the Thunderbirds are moving backwards a little bit. They'll try that kick through that worked successfully before, and it seems to have worked again. Brock Stoller, hard to bring down, gets to the 5-meter line. Advantage being played, a drop ball. That's disappointing, as number 17, listed as Eric Hunter James, although it just doesn't look like him. 17 responsible for the drop ball, as he obviously was looking at the in-goal area before making that connection with the ball. And right at halftime, UBC has a decision to go for points or to do a tap and go, and I think they're going to choose the points here being the more practical solution. Brock Stoller, who's had an interesting night kicking with the ball, not in his usual form, will make his 5th attempt at the posts this afternoon, 1 for 4 so far. This kick is up. It's looking like the best one so far of the day, and indeed it is. 3 points for UBC right on the close of the first half. And that does it for our first half of play. So thank you for tuning in to our first half of action here at the Whiteman Boot Game. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the start of our second half of play.
Final UBC kick was converted by number 14, Brock Stoller. Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome back to the second half. We have the UVic Vikes taking on the UBC Thunderbirds. UBC leading by a score of 22-11 in this one in the aggregate, 48-30 as they fight over the Whiteman boot. And I'm joined in the broadcast booth by Jeff Miller, who's the head coach.
Williams.
I'm sorry,
That's
Jeff
all right.
Williams of the U20 program in Canada, as he's watching some of these young players making a good impression so far in this game and what's been a very exciting first half. Jeff, what have you liked from the players you're watching, and who do you have your eye on?
Yeah, first of all, we've got Giuseppe Dutois and Oliver Knott with UVic, and then Harjin Gill and Theo Satter with UBC. So some key guys for both teams, and I'm here with Kenny Goodland, the assistant coach, and just having a look at the players. We watched the game beforehand as well. There's a few prospects. We've still got to finalize up our roster so for the January camp, but it's looking good. The game is, as we expected, pretty high-paced and lots of attacking options from all parts of the field.
Now, as a university program, it's great that young players from BC have an opportunity in those university years to stay locally, whether it's on the island or UBC on the mainland. What does it mean for player development when you can keep your eye on these players and they're able to stay playing a very high level here in the CDI, in fact?
Yep.
They're getting top competition even though they're in their early 20s, and you can keep scouting them and keep encouraging them and helping them develop their game.
Yeah, I mean, you want your best players playing in the league all the time. It's your foundation for the national team. So when you can have these young players playing like today, you got the UBC and UVic, the top two teams in the CDI, battling it out, and most of these guys would have played high school together. BC under 16, under 18, and some guys with Canada under 20. So it's a bit of an all-star game, really, and it's nice to see. It's great for the coaches of the national teams to be able to see the homegrown players play right in their city. So it's quite exciting.
Jeff, I'll let you get back to your scouting. You have a lot of work to do, but thank you for joining me in the press box. I apologize about the last name.
No
I was
worries.
looking at
No
Miller, the scrum
Spencer
half.
Miller. Yeah, well, we both talk about as much, so it's an easy mistake. But thanks for having me, and we'll talk to you in a bit.
Jeff, enjoy the rest of the game. So a penalty going to UBC. Check that to UVic, as they have a lot of work to do here in the second half to get back in this one. Trailing by 9 points on the scoreboard, trailing by 18 points in the boot game aggregate score. Ball thrown very high on the line out and on pressured. Check that wrong scrum cap wearing player. That's Charles Thorpe. Was pressured but was able to get the ball out of trouble. High box kick. This will be a good contest in the air, and it's scooped up, and the chase is on. And a high impact collision in the middle of the field. That looked like that was Quinton Wilms potentially with that high ball take. Now on the breakdown, UVic looking to control, and they do have it. And the ball is kicked right into the middle of the park, and the counterattack is on. And all the way back in that fullback position was Spencer Miller, the scrum half. Not his best pass of the game, and UVic with the turnover now. Fergus Hall tries his luck up the blind side. Nothing on there. So a big task for the UVic Vikes, a big mountain to climb. Looking at an 18-point deficit. In the boot. My math is bad. That's not the actual deficit. I'll do some math for you and update it. But UBC had 30 points in the first game, which means they have 50 points in the aggregate. So it is a full 20-point difference in the aggregate scores at this point in time. Advantage UBC. Giuseppe Detroit deciding what to do with this penalty. He'll tap and go to his left. They're at the 10-meter line. A nice move back inside to Doug Fraser, but well read by the UBC Thunderbirds defense. And driving forward there was Wakefield in support, pushing, driving the bus. But in the end, a penalty to the Thunderbirds, and that small burst of offensive momentum halted quickly from the Vikes. Good drive there by the Vikes, looking for the turnover, and they get it as the player came in from the side as the ball had spilled loose. So first contested scrum victory for the Vikes when the opposition was putting it in. And with that penalty, another long kick attempt, this one from about 33 meters out. Plus the angle. You're starting to approach a 40-meter kick. That's definitely well within Detroit's range, though. He'll line this one up. It's important not to try to win the game all at once. Just get the 3 points here, get the 3 points there, and work your way back into it and build some momentum. And this will be a big help for his club. That kicks up, and it drifts to the left. The flags stay down, the score line remains the same. At this point, we would like to thank our partners who help bring us streaming rugby. Miller hasn't looked at all out of place in scrum half. Coach Ramses Langston told me in the days before the game that while he wishes Jordan Sandover all the best of luck in South America touring with the Maple Leafs, they have every confidence in Miller in that scrum half role. He's played a lot there in the past. He's played both legs of the boot game last year, which the Thunderbirds won. So they know they can win with Miller at scrum half, and he's done a good job here today. So we'll have some substitutions. It's number 13, Remy Anktil, captain, leaving the field. Coming on in his place, number 20, Joe Ehrlich. Vikes able to spread the ball wide quickly off of that line out, bringing it from the left to the right side of the field. And Fergus Hall looks dangerous whenever he gets into space, but he was nicely brought down. And the Vikes will have to plot forward a couple of yards at a time and not releasing is the call. That's happened a few times today. Just poor discipline, some mental mistakes by the Vikes, and they can't afford to make those kind of mistakes here in the second half if they want to claw their way back. It's getting to be a pretty reasonable lead in that Whiteman boot at 20 points and under 30 minutes to go in that contest now. But the real focus and the eyes on the prize will not just be the Whiteman boot, but the 4 or 5 points on offer in the CDI standings, with both clubs so keen to stay atop the tables, because they'll need those points as the going gets tough in the later months of the season. Leaving their feet penalty is Detroit just trying to peel Nate Reese off of that pile. And Fergus Hall will help his team get to just inside the halfway line. Weil getting in there and grabbing that ball on the lineout. Not your traditional lifted lineout. It looked more like those ones we've seen back in the 60s and 70s where the ball's thrown in and all the players just scrap over it. A little more structure in today's game and those set pieces. But the old games are fun to watch, and it looked like one of those old plays there. Miller taking his time, being very methodical as he pulls the ball out, and penalty being awarded. A grubber kick through. Not much room in goal to chase after that one. The ball sits down just outside the in-goal area, and wrapped up and thrown into touch was the Vikes winger, Luke McCloskey, I believe, with the ball there. So good attempt. It's easy to do when you're winning to try and take some risks like that, knowing that you have that margin on the scoreboard. And UBC continuing to be on the front foot, being aggressive. And they have an opportunity to get some more points here as they drive them all forward, just a couple meters short of the line. Vikes up quickly in defense. Right at the line, the maul is forward, but the ball is spilled as it was hacked out of the ball carrier's hands. And UVic, there's some space back there if they can chip the ball on, and now the chase is happening. But getting back on it quickly was Harjan Gill as he's able to outrace Luke McCloskey onto that ball. So well done to Harjan Gill as the Vikes look to add some offense via the counterattack. Nate Reese at the bottom of that pile. Miller decides to call his own number. A little bit of interference being run on that play, as you saw, so UBC is penalized. UVic knowing they have to use the ball quickly. Working his way out of a tackle was Joe Ehrlich, who just came on a couple of minutes ago. Good first play with the ball from him. But eventually it is dropped, and we will have a scrum with the put in to UBC. Clock ticking away, 56 minutes, 57 minutes now gone. And as it stands right now, it looks like UBC will hold on to that Whiteman boot. But as we saw in the first half, points can get scored rather quickly, even when it looks like there isn't too much going on. So UVic will just look for their break, look for that gap, and try to get some points on the board. Good pushing there from UBC. Miller with an easy distribution to his right. Little switch back inside. We'll try it once more. Harjan Gill wrapped up. Thought about offloading it for a second. He's not held to the ground. Got back up and got 3 or 4 more meters. Good heads-up play there by Gill. UVic working hard in that breakdown, trying to pinch a loose ball, but UBC is able to hold on. Protests for offside or holding on is in fact the call. Protests from UVic are acknowledged. Jamie Pip-Blato having a conference with his team whether to kick this one or to retain the ball. And they will go for points. The angle not so severe, as you see it just marked inside of that 15-meter line out hash mark. And Giuseppe Dutoit will be responsible for getting his team some momentum and trying to pull them within a converted try of the lead. Getting it down from a 2-score game to a 1-score game, so vital at this stage. Toit's kick looks true, and it sails wide. Troubling for both teams' kickers, normally so consistent, normally so adept, and struggles with the boot for both teams here today. Otherwise, there would probably be 6 or 9 more points on the board for both teams. Fergus Hall goes back for it, lifts this one high, he'll chase after it himself. The ball bounces, no one wants it. I didn't catch the call there, but it looks like we have a offside call. As we see Harjan Gill running off the backfield. So I missed the yellow card in the sending off, but our referee Nathan Abdelnour certainly did not. And Gill will sit in the send bin for the next 10 minutes. And UVic will have that opportunity with the extra man to get the offense going again. And while the distance Might be a bit challenging here from 45 meters off the penalty. Detroit does have the benefit of being straight away from the uprights. And Detroit struggles with the boot. Continue. That ball stays in the in-goal area and is smartly dotted down. UBC with the restart. And wouldn't this game look a lot different had either of those or both of those last two kicks from Detroit gone through? As it stands, still a 9-point gap separating these two teams. UVic certainly haven't looked threatening in terms of scoring a try in a long time. Not much possession inside the UBC 22. It's been a lot of kicks from long range, and those kicks have ended up wide, but perhaps there's an opportunity here. Nicely collected by Luke McCloskey as that pass was behind him, but he's able to reel that one in. Now Wakefield to the inside. And here's an opportunity for the Vikes. Stopped up just short. But 1 meter left to go. They try to roll the ball over the line. UVic still in possession. That ball trying to present it back there, and now it gets all the way to the back. Quick pick and go on here. Stopped up a couple of times now, right at the line. And a try finally signaled, as there were about 3 or 4 UVic forwards who had their hands on the ball in that sequence, trying to get those last couple of meters. And the man emerging with the ball is McBrien Boss. And the referees will discuss just to confirm that that was in fact dotted down over the line or whether it was held up in goal, I suspect is the conversation. And the try is signaled. 5 points for UVic. And how important do those last 2 kicks look now? As they could have been leading this game, but as it stands, they trail. But they at least are marching towards being equal. With a conversion to come, the new score 20 for UBC, 16 for UVic. This will be another test for Detroit's boot. Kicking from just outside the 22 on a pretty tough angle. That, not an ideal kick. He will be very disappointed with that. Maybe the pressure getting to him just a little bit. But he has looked out of sorts all day. Certainly does not have the confidence that we have usually seen from him. The field looks like it's in good condition, so there's no slip on the run-up. But both kickers struggling, and it's producing a little bit of a lower score line than this game would otherwise display. But we still have a pretty exciting finish on now, thanks to that UVic try, as they trail only by 4 points. They have lots of time to work with. 65 minutes gone, and Stewart leading the charge there. Nice offload to Wakefield, who tried to get it back inside, and that ball's dropped, and on the counterattack, Miller at the halfway line. UBC try to slow things down here as UVic was keen to move the ball quickly on the counterattack. And UBC has seen that 9-point lead quickly eroded all the way back at halfway. Nate Reese knocked down. Players not too happy at the bottom of the pile, but they do separate themselves. As Nate Reese charged in pretty hard after collecting that kick and was thrown into touch. This line out going to UVic. They'll want to retain possession and slowly work the ball upfield. They'll want a better pass than that. Now it's looking a bit more organized. McCloskey brought down, puts one foot in touch, and we'll get a line out for UBC. Just lacking that one extra step to get around his man. It looked like good recovery from a bit of a broken play. That's kind of the way it's gone for UVic throughout a lot of this game. Broken plays, just one pass missing. What can UBC do here? Nate Reese has looked dangerous when he's had the ball. He does have that one try. He's bundled up there. Some fancy footwork. Not being too productive. Just run straight at him, son. Nice pass back into the inside channel, but stripped of the ball was number 17. Strong tackle there by Sam Jeffries, not allowing his man any room to move through the middle. Detroit thought he spotted something on back there. Check that. That was a scrum half. James Pitblado, and an unforced error from the Thunderbirds as that ball was knocked on way back at the 10-meter line. So an opportunity here for the UVic Vikes as time continues to be their enemy. About 11 minutes left in this one. Very interesting scoreline, trailing by 4 points. You have to get the try. And they've not had much in the way of sustained offense in the UBC half. But as we saw a few moments ago, all it takes is one break, one lapsed assignment, one moment of inattention, and suddenly there could be a break on. And UVic will be looking for such a moment. Pitblado with the put in. He'll collect the ball himself and moves up the right side. Fraser knocked down. And on the turnover, UBC are able to hack that one down the field. Fergus Hall going back to collect it. Tries the stutter step. No one fooled. And UVic forced to kick it away. Picking up speed for the Thunderbirds was Brian Tyrer. Michael O'Toole playing some scrum half. UBC just happy to use as much of the time off the clock as they can. Less than 10 minutes to go. And with that offside call, they'll have an opportunity to take a kick. Although the way that Brock Stoller's been kicking, they might choose to go for the corner as opposed to going for the posts. Harjan Gill being given the signal that he can come back in. So UVic able to score the try with the one-man advantage. And will the return of Harjan Gill stem some of the bleeding here for UBC as they desperately try to hang on with that 4-point margin? It's Tyrer doing the kicking now. As he lines this one up from 38 meters away, straight down the middle. That's a nice looking kick for Brian Tyrer, who has come into this game as a reserve, normally in their starting 15. And it's a nice asset to have him coming off the bench. And he gives UBC a nice cushion with that 3-point kick added to their scoreline. And they seem like a lock at this point to reclaim the Whiteman boot. But we still have a rugby game that's one converted try difference. So we're going to have a pretty good finish as the clock has less than 8 minutes left on it. Both teams using the full extent of their bench. What's been a pretty up-tempo game. We've seen lots of running. The benefit of young, fit teams, as these university clubs have. The Vikes working their way to the 22. Referee Nathan Abelner kind of getting in the way there, ducks under that one. Kevin Leask had the ball there. We haven't called his name much this afternoon. Hooker Casey Cavers thought he would try a move to the right, but UBC read that one very quickly. And a penalty is the result for not rolling away. We have an interesting situation. The points, taking the 3 points probably won't help. 7 minutes left. Your aggressive call is to go into the corner and try to drive them all across the line. We'll see what the players elect to do. Kicking tee comes out. I don't know if I like that call. But I've been proven wrong many times in my strategic assessment. So we will see how this plays out with 6 minutes left on the clock. And Fergus Hall now doing the kicking in place of Giuseppe Dutoit. Hall's kick is up, and this one is good. So we've traded kicks in the last few minutes. UVic has 19 points to their scoreline and are now back within 4. One try will do it. Time the enemy. 5 minutes to go here in the Whiteman boot game. Good contest for that high ball on the restart. Our referee spotted something. Looked like a knock on, and we have a scrum coming up. The put into UVic. We'll have to get creative and move the ball upfield quickly. 5 minutes left. They'll have to work from inside their own 10-meter line. Shaping up to be an excellent finish here at UVic. turnover now. Sam Jeffries with the ball. They're about 10 meters short. Harjan Gill takes that one down. He'll have fresh legs after having sat out for 10 minutes. Paul on with one of his few carries of the ball today, but he has played well in opposition of McBrien Boss at prop. And a drop ball will result in a knock-on, and Sam Clark will be a little bit disappointed with himself. As UBC was hunting for those insurance points. And speaking of insurance, we would like to thank our title and we're going to have a real cracker of a finish here tonight. 3 minutes left on the clock. And time ticking away as they set up this scrum. UVic needing a try. Trailing by 4 points. Deep in their own half. With the ball. That low pass, well collected. Quickly read there by Tyre of UBC, but he was in a little too aggressively and left his feet. So we'll have a penalty, which the Vikes take quickly. Klosky had his legs chopped out as he tried to run through a gap. They've made it all the way up to the 10-meter line and have collected another penalty. And so the tap and goes continue. Fraser brought down. Blato looking for some help. McBrien Boss drops the ball, throws up his arms in frustration. Looks like he might have got a bit of an elbow up in the face of his tackler as well as he dropped that ball. Unforced error from the tight head prop, McBrien Boss. And there's not a lot of time left on the clock for those kind of mistakes. As we enter the 79th minute. And our referee will be the ultimate arbiter of time remaining. We have not had too many stoppages in the second half. So probably not too much extra time to be added on as the referee quickly takes a glance at his watch. Struggling to get the ball out. A penalty to UVic. And again, they go quickly. Running onto it was Nathan Stewart. They have it just outside the 22-meter line. Nothing less than a try will do at this point for the Vikes. McBrien Boss tuning for that drop ball moments ago with a step inside. Gets his team a few more meters. And those gains are reversed as they're back outside the 22-meter line in the middle of the park. The 80th minute has elapsed, and we are now in injury time. And the Vikes will need to be flawless. Do they have something on here at the end of what has been a very good game between these two teams? UBC will be your Whiteman boot victors, but there are the CDI points on the line and thrown into touch. Is there any time left? No final whistle yet. So our referee checks his watch. It's pretty challenging now for the Vikes as UBC will have the throw on this line out. Jeffries comes down with it, but the ball hits the deck. Nicely picked up by O'Toole. He's through the line. One more man to beat. He's finally wrapped up by the fullback, Fergus Hall. That might be enough, though, for UBC. Gill goes wide to James Thompson. And now UBC on the attack. They are just a couple of meters out. Good defense there for the Vikes. Is it too little, too late? Gill once again brought down. He's had the ball quite a bit at that fly half position. They missed him when he was in the sin bin. That is when UVic scored their try. There's a drop ball. Advantage being played. Knock on. UBC spilling that one as they look to close this one out. And I suspect as soon as the ball leaves play, we're going to see our final whistle. UVic in an almost impossible situation, well inside their own 22, having to go the length of the field with no time left. No mistakes allowed. O'Toole's on his man quickly. UVic forced to try to carry it out themselves when normally the boot would be used in that situation. And as a result, they have dropped the ball. And that is a knock-on, and there will be a scrum, and it will go to UBC with the put-in, and I suspect they will just tap it into touch, and that'll probably wrap up our game with UBC collecting both the 4 points for the victory as well as the Whiteman boot for the second year in a row. After conferring with his assistant referee, Nathan Abdelnour has reversed the original knock-on call and charged it to UBC, so the benefit of the put-in going to UVic. I don't think that there's a chance that they can come back the full 90 meters with no time left. But crazier things have happened in this sport, and that is why we watch the full game. Does UVic have a miracle in them? The ball is out and it's jumped on by O'Toole. It's done fairly. There's no entering from the side was called. And that ball is killed in the bottom of that breakdown. And a tedious finish here to the game. Fans on edge, desperately wanting the home team Vikes to pull off an improbable length of the field try for the win. The odds certainly stacked against them. Desperation time for the Vikes. Looks like they might have some numbers down the middle if they can complete a couple more passes. And that numerical advantage is quickly leveled. An interception by UBC. The ball is dropped. All they had to do was kick it out, but the ball stays in play. Advantage is being played, and we'll get another scrum. And finally, the whistle goes, and that does it. What a terrific game between these two university clubs. The UBC Thunderbirds are your 2015 Whiteman Boot champions for a second year in a row. And as a bonus, they also get the 4 points in the standings. in the Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League, which will ensure that they stay in top position of the tables for another week.
UBC Thunderbirds will retain the Rugby boot
And we'll have our trophy presentation in just a moment. We'll continue to stay live until that happens. But before we go to that presentation, we would like to thank our sponsor. Final score here today, the UBC Thunderbirds 23, the UVic Vikes 19, and in the aggregate it's 53-38 as the UBC Thunderbirds capture the Whiteman Boot Trophy for a second consecutive year. What a great start to the 2015 Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League season. We'll be broadcasting games throughout the next 5 months, concluding with the Roundsfell Cup at the end of the season on May 9th. We look forward to joining you for all of those broadcasts on Saturdays at 2:30 and or 2:45 p.m. depending on sunlight. And we're happy you tuned into this Friday afternoon game from the University of Victoria. It was a pretty good one, a very well contested game. UBC able to build up a 20-11 lead, and UVic slowly prodded their way back into the game, getting it down to that 4-point gap, but unable to close the gap in the end. A tough way to lose, as they know that victory was within their reach. But UBC, very deserving champions of the Whiteman Boot once again. Our next broadcast will also feature the UBC Thunderbirds as they are at home to Burnaby Lake on the 31st of January. Before then, we'll also have our monthly episode of BC Rugby Club. You can watch that at its special time on Wednesday, January 28th at 7 p.m. We'll be doing that one live on location for the first time ever. More details to come in the coming weeks. It will be a busy weekend for BC Rugby as we have several coaching conferences and clinics taking place across the Lower Mainland this weekend. And so rugby wraps up on this Friday with a light schedule on Saturday. And the players from UBC gather around the Whiteman Boot. Some team photos. A very well-deserved 23-19 victory. UBC with a long storied tradition of rugby success in our province. And they are this year's 2015 Whiteman Boot champions. Although no lifting the trophy. Okay. That does it. So thank you for tuning into our broadcast. We've had a fun time bringing this one to you. We look forward to catching up with you for our next episode of BC Rugby Club, as I mentioned, on the 28th of January, and then our next Canadian Direct Insurance Premier League match coming up on the 31st as UBC faces Burnaby Lake in an attempt to stay atop the CDI standings. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody.